Hello, I'm back again. I'm very sorry about that. That was the wife and kids coming back from her parents, and my oldest son just got a new haircut. He's almost 2 years old, so he's very happy about his new hair. It looks so cute. Well, anyway, I just found this cacti mod thing that lets you make space telescopes. It's now updated version 1.2. I just use the CCAN to update all my stuff. So basically what I want to do is get some science, because I'm lagging a bit behind here. I used, well, you can see what science I've got, but I need to do rovers, because I want to go to far away planets, and I want to drive around and gather science from different biomes. So this is kind of my goal, but for now, to get more science, to lock everything up and unlock stuff, I want to make a space telescope out of the space telescope parts from the cacti mod. So let's start from the beginning here. What we have for the cacti mod is this little probe. This has no SAS. It has the stability controls and everything, but it doesn't have the gyros. You need to add to this. You need to add gyros, and it needs to be special gyros in order to calibrate the telescope properly and aim it at targets properly. So what we need to build on top of this is an enclosure or bay, and I don't know where things are because this mod is new to me, and the new 1.2 sorting out here is also new to me. But here is the fungi telescope optics, and we need to mount that on top. There's a little door in here, and in this door we have room for the actual sensor arrays, and the asteroid sensor arrays lets you look at and take pictures of asteroids. The wide field camera lets you look at and take pictures of other planets. So we want to put that in there, because I want to take pictures of planets. And from here we need to close that again, and we need to add the proper controls. Here they are. This GR1000 gyroscope needs to go onto here, and I'm thinking one is enough, and I want to put it on the back of the telescope here because I think that looks cool. In order to communicate with this, we need the new modules for keeping in contact with probes, because otherwise we won't be able to control this. And what is the range of this approximate? Well, we really don't know much about the range, do we? We know this has a tolerance of 50 Gs and an impact of 7 meters per second. And it should say something about gain or something to establish. It uses 0.20 electricity, 20.0 electricity per second. And this uses 51, so antenna rating 5.0 M 500K. So this has definitely much longer range. So I'm guessing in order to put this telescope in a high orbit, or maybe try to orbit other planets than actually just orbiting Kerbal, we need to put on this sort of an, wow, we need to put sort of antenna on this. And I'm guessing that could be a position for this antenna, and then when we extend it, it's gonna fold out. Okay, then we can put it down here, and then retract it like that. That actually looks pretty okay. And then for short range, let's mount this Communitron thing on the other side, so that now no matter what's activated or not, this is always activated, so it's going to be always on. Yes, and I am going to need some structural bits at the bottom here, because we need to be able to generate electricity. And electricity comes from solar arrays, and we need batteries also. So let's add some solar panels. Just to be able to put these at the edge like that, and then we'll sort of set okay. I think we need to put these in just a little bit of different places, so that, you know, this needs to be positioned in any way but facing the sun. So if this is facing away from the sun or side on, these are going to be good from the side, but we need something facing directly rearward. And we need to do it without making this too wide. This is actually a bit of a challenge. I don't have any other solar arrays at the moment. We need to mount some batteries inside this. Maybe I should have done that before putting the panels on there, because the batteries can go inside like that, and then to make it look properly and not use the clipping, let's put them like that, maybe like that. Now I can't pick them up again, so that's okay. That's a lot of battery power. I think maybe one more than we need. Put the solar panels back on. That is a nice little telescope. Yeah, I think it looks cool. We need to not only use this gyroscope, we need to make this able to move around. So I think I'm going to do that by using some RCS, and I'm not going to be docking this to anything, so maybe just using some thrusters up here. Let's place 4 of those. And then let's see if we can add some RCS fuel underneath. There we go. That's going to create a lot of clipping with the solar panels. And I actually don't want to be making this bigger. We need to add solar panels facing forward instead. So maybe take this and then make this sort of a 4-way panel only, so that it looks like that. It sort of looks realistic. right? Looks pretty good. Then we need, because it can't turn now with just these thrusters here, it needs, well, actually, if I move these up here and then add some at the very bottom, if I move those up a bit between the RCS tanks and this up here, and then go in for something like that. This should push it actually in any direction. Now what we need is some forward thrust, and actually I could do with just these on now and then removing those. Now it should be maneuverable in any direction right now. These should be able to turn it really nicely. These should be able to push it forward or backward or whatever direction you want to go. So actually that's okay. What I need to do to make this work is actually using the photovoltaic panel, and what can we attach this to? How can it be attached? Because it really needed to do something like this, but it can't be attached on the end. We needed this to be actually anywhere, because this camera, the camera lens up here, it can't tolerate being turned into the sun. That's gonna ruin the optics, and it's gonna explode. I don't want that. So actually most of the time the sun is gonna be coming from something like this angle, or like completely from behind. And if we need to do something like that, we actually need to add something to mount those on. But if I go for something like that, it's going to be a huge telescope, and it's going to create a lot of drag while taking off. But I'm sorry, but I can't see how it's possible to avoid this. We need to put back on that communicatron thingy. Now we can put this here. Let's go back at the rear facing panels here. Should actually be able to fit in 3 panels on this one. And I'm not sure that I need anything else for this. This should be picking up enough sunlight now from any direction, no matter what direction. Or maybe we should do something like maybe we should do something like that. Huh? That actually looks cool. That really looks great. Nice, small, little telescope that I should be able to control from any direction. Now, I've got in my pre-assemblies here, if I can find them now. They're in the menu, right? So, sub-assemblies. There's a small lifter here that is actually ready to take something like this on. This should be able to take this easily into orbit, but what I want to do this is before I had the mainsail engine, and the mainsail engine is just crazy effective, and it's got thrust vectoring and all that good stuff, so I really want to go put the mainsail engine on this instead of 7 small engines, because 7 small engines, that's just not effective enough. Because this has an engine ISP specific impulse of 280 and all these small ones have 265 and 250. That's just not good enough. The mainsail is just way more effective. So this gets far more delta V out of the same fuel. And that's what we need when launching things like this. And now, come to think about it, we need to do the old trick of adding struts to this, because it just wants to wobble like, for some reason it wants to wobble like crazy when it gets on part that has high aerodynamic pressure, like this is gonna have, because it has the flappy panel things here. So let's go like that and that. It becomes, I don't know if it's a gimbal on the engines or what it is, but it becomes crazily unstable when it's we need 4 of those, right? Yeah, like that. It becomes crazily unstable and very, very wobbly, like it's wobbling around the gimbal of the engine in here when it's just stacked on that. So, whoa! I lost control of that completely. Move away! Silly Strat, what are you doing? What you doing, Silly Strat? That's it. Like that. Telescope going up. It's gonna name this, and since it's a telescope and it's the first telescope, I'm just gonna name it T1. That's very, very primitive notation around here. I think we may need to add a small inline reaction wheel to actually be able to control this. It's a module with a large heavy array of reaction wheels, and that is what we need at the bottom of this to keep it under control until we are in space, and I can let this go and fly on its own way. Let's go ahead and try that. That's 60,000 funds out of 238,000, so that's actually, I think it's pretty cheap. And besides, I have enough funds to create vessels to go on other missions, so no problem. I know for a fact this has more than enough power. Let's just sort out the staging here, and these drop off the solid fuel, and this is all organized neatly. Yeah, that's it. Somehow that just didn't cut it. How is this so incredibly heavy? Oh, gliding off the pad. Alright, that has a crazy thrust to weight ratio. That's put on stoppable boosters for this one. That's actually pretty easily done, so no problem. Let's pick up that booster part and place it here, and then let's do a quad assembly here, like so, and that should be properly attached all the way around, and then this goes somewhere around. Don't need that many. I'm just gonna try and do that anyway. Can this be done? Because we only need two. Two is enough. No, that's clipping. That's not gonna work. It's gonna be 4 then. Like that. Sort out the staging again. So when that burns through the fuel, it's gonna have enough thrust to weight ratio to lift the rest. But that telescope must be really heavy now. That increased the cost a bit. Well, not to do about it. Oh, sorry. I'm just gonna have to sort some extra things over here out, like so. And then when I sort stuff like that out, we can go like this. And that's actually pretty funny. Well, the SAS is on, and that means we're ready to launch. Let's go! And fall down. That's still not enough. I'm not entirely satisfied with this. But let's see if we can get it to roll in on this. It must be so incredibly heavy, the telescope, in order for this to not work and not lift off. Way too fast. And if I don't go fast, I'm going to use the throttle vectoring, and the vessel is going to turn aerodynamically unstable. And look at that. I can't turn down the throttle because what's keeping this steady is actually the thrust from the engine. I still think this is possible. Let's just, let's just take the stabilizers here, or girders or whatever holding the rocket. Let's just not let those release before we tell it to. So that way when it's starting to pull up, we can actually just release it when it's used enough fuel that it wants to actually go. Like that. Much better. And then let's try and keep a controlled acceleration now. Try not to go too fast so that I don't have to cut too much of the thrust of the center engine off. The difficult part is always around the high dynamic pressure, and that usually happens at about 12 kilometers. 10 to 12 kilometers after that, it usually behaves way better. And we're getting higher with less speed this time, but still not stable enough. No, it just wants to go over. I'm gonna manually try and see if I can keep this on a better course this time. I can see already this is not going to be a success, because the first stage here needs to take us to an air perhaps about of at least above 70 kilometers, so this needs to be able to take us into space. At least, and it's not even close to that. So this needs a really huge and really expensive booster stage, because that thing that's just not going to happen. That's just losing. This doesn't have. This only has power to kind of readjust an established orbit. Now we are losing speed. We're actually gaining right now, but I think we should. Yeah, we're starting to lose altitude now. This just doesn't work. We need a much bigger boosting stage for this. So this needs to turn off its incredibly annoying music. That's the one thing I get really annoyed about, is the music of Kerbal Space. You can turn it down like 28 times, and then when you get an update, it just starts to play new weird music. It just turns back up the sound level. Why does this happen to me? Anyway. Bigger, longer lasting boost stage. Bigger rocket at the bottom. This twin bore is a lot of thrust. 280 ISP, oh yeah. So if we do something like this, we get more fuel. For a little aerodynamic stability. And the kickback boosters, I think we should still use those because they are cheap. Cheap and effective. You know, the easy way to do this is to just build one assembly. Oh, sorry, I got those attached already. So let's just take this one and move it down here, and then mount the kickbacks on in the middle of that thing, and then let's take that and duplicate that twice. And then to add stability, we need to put struts on the top of that, like that. And then just to make it look good, and maybe add some aerodynamic stability, just add that. And then we need to add the, what do they call Launch stability enhancers. Oh yeah. That's what we need. A little bit of stage control here. Let's save that. And we went from the mainsail. This has 1378 kilonewtons of thrust at sea level, and the big twin bore has 1800. We added a bit more fuel. We added the kickback thrusters, which I think we actually have to go to about 60% thruster on those, otherwise it's just gonna tear off like you wouldn't believe. But I actually think this is okay. I could have used the Kerbal engineer and used the calculating and stuff. I could also check with the thrust and the weight of the entire vehicle, but you know, let's just do some experiments. Let's leave room for experimenting. Well, that didn't have the desired effect. For reasons unknown, that telescope is insanely heavy. Let's go with 100% on the kickback. 100%. All right. I've had my share now. Let's do some calculations. The weight of this is 153 tons, so 153 kilonewtons should be able to lift this. And this has 18.66. Oh, that's times the gravity acceleration, so that's 9 times that. We actually need some really insane boosters for this, so I'm going to build some really insane boosters for this. Right? Add some fuel on top of that. In fact, let's not add that much fuel. Something like that should be okay. Pick that one up, place it down here, double that. Can we agree this is pretty awesome? We need to put something on here to make it look good, because I can't have vessels that don't look good. Right? Move all this down here, all the way over, and get ready. Let's do some stability strutting up here. We now need more struts because this is going to create stress on this vessel, I think. Now this has engine. This is the most powerful rocket that I've launched in this campaign, without a doubt. Now I just have to be checking the weight of this. The telescope is only 4 tons, so what happened in 1.2 that made the rocket suddenly not want to lift? This is weird. Well, there's a lot of science to be gained here, because with this camera on this machine, we can actually do. Why was this not moved? Oh, like that. This camera, and then take photos of the planets. We can actually take photos of the planets from close to the system. And every time we do that, we get a little bit of science. So for all planets, all moons, everything, I'm excited to see how much science we can actually get out of this. It's pretty exciting. I'm trying to control the speed here because as long as we're in the atmosphere, we do not really want to go that fast when we have an aerodynamically unstable vessel. So I think to keep it just below 200 meters per second until we get to about 20 kilometers, and then not trying to initiate too much of a gravity turn, because this aerodynamically unstable vessel is just gonna, gravity turn is just gonna mess everything up. So right now I can see I should have put in fuel transfers here, so I can actually do some asparagus staging, so that the main rocket here was always 100% full, and then ditch these two at an earlier time, but anyway. That's actually going to be high enough now that I dare to start turning this, and it shouldn't go aerodynamically haywire on me. Now initiate quite a steep turn, yeah. Let's change to that, and we're almost at 1,000 meters per second. So we stopped accelerating now because this engine is just way too small, and I should have an apex of above 70 kilometers, then I'm okay. And now it's just a question of waiting. We should start accelerating again. And when we do, our apex should start to climb again. It's not climbing yet. But we have more than a minute to the apex. By that time we should be accelerating more and more and more and more. Since we have less and less fuel to accelerate, so it's less mass with the same thrust. Or actually the thrust is increasing now because it's more and more efficient. In vacuum, the thrust is actually more efficient because it doesn't have to push against outside pressure. So now it can deliver fuel to the engine in a much more efficient way. Still climbing, but not for much longer. But now the apex is moving away again, which means that we can continue this climb. So this was actually just at the very, very edge of the thrust needed at the boosting stage to push this into orbit. So now we're easily going to get into orbit. Because I have one more stage. I actually need to control this a bit more because I don't need a higher apex. I need to get some circularization here. So maybe we should start needing a little bit of the height and converting that into forward momentum. That's my little space station that I've got up here, and various debris. I need to clean that up. As soon as I have a periapse of above. Let's stop right there and let's circularize at the apparatus over here. Add a maneuver. And then let's try and make that as nice as oh, too much. That's touchy. Wow. Like that, 109 and 109. If you hit that, it's perfect. And I don't hope that's pointing directly into, no it's not. Because then we will have a problem. Minutes of flying time. And this needs to go this way, so it actually needs to go away from the sun now. That's a good thing. Minutes, 1 minute until a 1 second burn, 30 seconds, 10 seconds. Let's go to normal speed here and then let's do a small burn for just a bit longer and then cut it right there. We need just a tad bit more. Near the direction of the sun, so that is the closest I've ever come to doing an exact maneuver point. That's 0.0 meters per second missing. Nice little orbit here. Let's see what this thing can do. What can it do? Open bay. Camera is active. Close the bay. Status locked. It does seem like it doesn't have power, but it has like a zillion amounts of power. It has like huge electric reserves. If I can remember how to use this. Should we be doing something like go from here? I can only open the bay and close it. Should I be doing this from the tracking station or something? I don't remember this. I should be able to use this telescope. Everything that is needed to operate the telescope is there. Where is the telescope now? I think it's out of reach from the compass. Alright, okay, it's on the other side, so I can't even see it right now. There's a lot of debris out here. I think I should clean those up. So Gen 2, Moon members, terminate. Those are leftovers from satellite launches. I have some satellites orbiting the moon and Minmus. But where did that satellite go? It's just completely gone. it went completely away. Like it's just gone now. Is this an incompatibility problem with the 1.2 patch? So we had antennas and everything was on that it should have had proper signal and everything. It had loads of power. But we can't gain control again if we can't see it in the tracking station. So what have I got that's not turned on? Oh, it turns up when I turn relays on. There it is. And I can fly that now. There it was. Yeah. Back in control. But it's like I can't do anything with this other than just opening the bay, and opening the bay just let me do anything with. I am guessing this is an incompatibility problem with 1.2 and that the entire cacti mod just doesn't work with this version. So at the moment I just have an inoperable space telescope circulating up here, and what I want to do is actually, I do not want to land this thing ever, so I just want to ditch this. Come on. Get out of here, you big tank of fuel. Turn on some RCS and then we're able to control this just fine. We should turn on those tracking thingies, madingadongs. I think I remember stuff now. But this needs to be controlled from this device. And it's retrograde, radial out, radial in, anti-normal, normal, bar, 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 bar. This need, it should have some. In fact, let's try and not do things that points this at the sun, because that's just really stupid. It had some points. It should have had some things down here that was supposed to point it at. Like being able to control and point that at something. Well, I guess I'm just going to have to give up here and then come back in a later episode. But actually, that was the launch of the entire space. My first little space telescope. There's much larger versions of this in the cacti mod. But this is it. It's in orbit now. It's not pointing at the sun, and it's not ruined. It has a status of locked, and I how to unlock this? Was that the you know. And I should be able to see how much of the gyro is spent, but if I look at the fuel and see what fuels I have a lot of electricity, and I have, this should have, the gyros in here have spin, and when you use the gyros you lose the spin, because all the control of this does is just slow these down, but there's something wrong. It's not working properly. I'm gonna have to give up and say that that was it for tonight's transmissions. So goodbye, and see you in a later episode where we hopefully get the T1 space telescope working. Bye bye for now.